I'm Allison.
Hi, Allison.
I'm a choreographer. I'm going to work with you guys to choreograph a little production with all the trucks. So I need to be talking with you because I think you need to be in it.
Really? Man, this lady's crazy. How are we gonna make trucks dance?
We do a lot of projects with people you don't typically think of as dancers. So we're doing this show. So you guys are performers.
No.
Anybody who wouldn't mind me coming out on route with you one day? You don't have to commit to dancing right now. Ugh. That's dancing to me right there. I mean, you're coordinating space-time and energy. So we need you in the show.
Doing some sort of a movement.
Get back. That's gonna be great. This truck will come, and because we don't want to back in, it'll just come in around like this. There's always a part in the process when I'm making something when I'm terrified that it is not gonna work. And what in the world was I thinking?
And you're starting to doubt yourself. But it's gonna be okay. We're gonna pull it out.
Let's pretend all this worked.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here for our first Civic Artists in Residence Application Assistance Workshop. My name is Richard Young. I'm the Executive Director of Civic Lex. We are one of the partners on this project. You might notice that there are a number of panelists on here. So I just want to give everyone else that's on the panel side a moment to introduce themselves. So why don't we get started? Megan, since you are with Civic Lex, do you want to go first? And then we'll just kind of go around. Everyone just do maybe a quick, short, brief thing about who you are.
Hey, my name is Megan Gullah. I am the Director of Programs at Civic Lex, and I'll just be here answering questions at the Q&A at the end of this session. So welcome to everyone. We're glad you're excited about it, and we hope you all apply. Thanks.
Awesome. I'm going to throw it next to Kurt. I'm just going in the order on my screen here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kurt Godey. I'm a social practice artist here in Lexington, and I'm here. I'll also be watching questions and answering online. So if you have questions during the presentation, I'll be there to answer.
Awesome. Heather, you want to go next?
Thanks. I'm Heather Lyons. I'm Director of Arts and Cultural Affairs with the City of Lexington. I was previously the Executive Director of the Living Arts and Science Center. And so I hope that a lot of you out there are folks that I've gotten to work with in the past, as well as there being new people for us. I'm very excited to have you all here and look forward to talking with you tonight and in the future about this project.
Awesome. Lakshmi, you want to go next?
I'm Lakshmi Sriraman, and I'm a visual artist and a performing artist, and I sit on the advisory committee for this project. And I am extremely thrilled that Lexington is doing something like this. This is going to be wonderful for the artists and for the city.
Awesome. Brandy?
Hello, friends. My name is Brandy Shoemake. I'm an artist and educator here in Lexington. Today, I'm representing the community and the artists. So please do ask all your questions, and we are so thrilled to have you here. Thank you for joining us to change the world.
Awesome. And last but not least, Ash.
Hello, friends. My name is Ashley Hansen. I'm the Executive Director of the Department of Public Transformation. We're an artist-led organization that works at the intersection of creativity and civic life based in Minnesota. And we're consulting on this project as we've helped a number of towns launch projects like this. So grateful to be here. Glad you all are here.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much for introducing yourselves, y'all. So we're going to just jump in. We're going to try and make this as brief as possible. Our goal is to keep it to be done at 6:45. So we're going to hope our best to do that. One quick thing, if you are over on the attendee side, you might want to mess with your video settings. There's a little button, typically when you could go between speaker and grid view, there's a view that will allow for side-by-side so that you can see the slides and the presenters at the same time. That just might make it a little bit easier to follow what's going on. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. So what is the Lexington Civic Artists in Residence program? So there's a co-project between Civic Lex, the city of Lexington, the Bluegrass Community Foundation, who has helped support this project, and a 28-person advisory group, all of which we sit on, but also is mostly made up of folks from city government and folks from the community, and that includes a number of artists. I think that just about everyone on the panelists come from an arts background of some form or another. So this is a pilot program. So we are trying this out and seeing how it fits in Lexington. So this isn't going to be something that's going to go on forever and ever and ever, although maybe it will if it goes really well. But it is a pilot program, and it's the inaugural program. This is our first time doing it here. And I do have to say it's funded by the National Endowment for the Arts. And so we're really, really grateful to the NEA for their support of this project. So our Civic Artists in Residence program is going to place 3 artists inside 3 different departments in Lexington city government. We're going to place one in environmental quality and public works. We're going to place one in finance, and we're going to place one in social services. We're going to get to the goals of this placement in a little bit, but we're really excited to be working in this cohort-based approach to have 3 folks that we're going to be working with in these 3 different divisions and departments. It's going to be a 13-month placement. So if you are selected through our application process, you would start in June of 2021 and conclude in July of 2022. We estimate that it's going to be about a 15-hour commitment per week. That does sort of follow the city schedule though. So month of December is probably going to not be as busy as the other months. And there will be some months that are going to be busier than others. There is a $15,000 stipend per artist. And you will also have a $1,500 supply budget and a workspace up with us in the Downtown Arts Center, assuming that it is safe for us to all be in the same place again with coronavirus. Fingers crossed, summer. We also have these sort of 3 facets of our program. You will have a mentor team inside city government who's going to help you get acquainted. There will be a buddy system with 1 or 2 individuals inside city government who you can turn to for help. And then you're also going to have this cohort-based approach where you have the 3 artists that you're working with, or the 2 other artists that you're working with, and then our entire advisory group to lean back on. So it's our hope that artists that participate in this program feel really supported through this project. So if you're selected as an artist, there are going to be 4 phases to this project. There's sort of a settling in phase in June where you're going to work with folks inside city government and work with us at Civic Lex to get to understand city government a little bit better. There's going to be a discovery phase where you're going to get to know city government a little bit deeper. We want you to do a lot of listening in this time. Then from October to December, we're going to do a lot of dreaming about what projects could happen. And then the co-creation of those projects is going to happen from January to July. So we have some 4 really concrete phases that this project is going to follow. So I'm going to turn it over to Heather to talk a little bit about what the city wants to get out of this project. There are a number of things that we're hoping the city gets, the artist gets, and the community gets. And I'll turn it over to Heather to talk about the city. Heather, you're muted, just FYI.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Again, I'm so happy to have you with us and to get to be talking about this project. I being new to city government myself at the time that Richard had approached me about this project and we were getting started on the grant, I was really delighted when I approached departments within city government, social services, environmental quality and public works and finance, and was met with just real enthusiasm and desire for them to take advantage of this opportunity to work with local artists. They all expressed to me a number of different things that they would like to do better and felt that artists might be able to help them with so that they could respond better to the needs of the city. I think there many benefits and outcomes that are going to come from this project, but some large goals that really reach across departments is the desire to make information more accessible, user-friendly, less intimidating, more helpful. They want to know how can they better communicate the really extremely complex problems in such a way that it will make people understand and even care enough to respond or to ask questions and maybe even get involved. Departments want to better understand the many communities that they're trying to serve here in Lexington, Fayette County, in order to really provide services to all the many communities that exist here. They really need those people involved in decision-making processes to lend their knowledge and understanding to the city so that appropriate decisions that really benefit everyone can be made. The city's also wanting to be able to find new ways of working, of thinking, of communicating. Like all of us in our jobs, you can really get stuck in doing things the same way. And artists, I think, just in the natural way that they pursue their own work, they employ creative thinking and problem solving in all that they do. They find ways to maneuver obstacles and interference to get to the work that needs to be done. They change directions, they pivot, they try multiple methods. They don't work in a vacuum. They take in and observe and respond. I think artists' ways of working, the true creative process is so very important to be able to share with those who may not approach their own work that way. So the process is really key to this. It isn't really about coming into the city government and having to teach 3,000 people how to paint, though that might be something you decide to do, but it really is about working with city employees to examine challenges, maybe from a new direction, and then to explore new ways to respond to those challenges and to communicate to the community at large. So the world is really wide open here for, I think, the artist and the department that they work with to reimagine the city and city government in a lot of new ways. So, and it's also about really understanding the varied and vast and amazing work that city employees provide to keep everything functioning, and to really give them new opportunities to step outside of their typical roles, to maybe find ways to enrich their jobs and to celebrate the work that they do. I think the video that I hope you saw at the very start of this, I think is just such a lovely example of that. And shout out to Andy Garrison, who made that film, who is a former Kentucky filmmaker. But anyway, I think just as there's so much that the city needs to know and understand about the citizens that they're serving, we also want to find ways for the citizens to learn more about the work that's being done by city employees. So that's a whole lot. And I think any one of those, things that might come of this would be fantastic. But I'm very, very excited. I think that's the most exciting thing, is to really see what the city employees and the artists will come up with together. So thanks very much.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Heather. We're really grateful for the city's participation in this project. It, well, just literally would not be possible without the city's involvement. So we're incredibly grateful for the city to open themselves up in this way. All right, so another big part of it, obviously, is the artists. And so we want to help communicate what you as prospective artists would get out of this program if you are selected. So I'm going to turn it over to Brandy to talk a little bit about what artists and community members hope to get out of this project.
Hey friends, I am going to start out talking about what artists can get out of this program, though my answer will not be near what you will really get out of this, because if our sitting on this board coming up with ideas to engage you has fed us as it has, I can only imagine that this opportunity as an artist could really have an impact for you and your community. So that is why I'm encouraging you to please join us in this effort. There are many benefits to this. First, it mentions the opportunity to reshape government. You get the opportunity to work hand in hand with your government officials inside to create opportunities for them to better communicate internally and externally with our communities. So we are really working from the outside in and working from the inside out so that we can continue to build a better Lexington. You'll build and use new relationships. This is just a fancy way of saying that we'll work together to meet the needs of our community. We'll improve these relationships so that our community can function better. Financial, material, and mentorship opportunities. Again, you will not be unsupported throughout this opportunity. So we will use all of our resources to make sure that this project and your ideas for it are successful. And then we also hope to deepen the relationships with our community still. So by investing time in this project, in each stage of this project, we hope to give you the opportunity to gain a new perspective so that you can really affect lasting change in our community. We're going to keep moving, and next we'll talk about what our community can get out, can hope to receive from this. We're hoping to build better relationships with state government, and by building better bridges with government and its citizens, we hope to change the infrastructure and how we benefit from that. Inclusion in city-making decisions. We know that art changes lives, and what better way to create a better Lexington than to fuse both the community and the arts in that decision-making process. Artists are often on the front line of receiving information about the community, so we are well educated and we are ready to help. So here's us inciting you to do the same. We're hoping that the city will function more smoothly because the insight and experience that we bring as artists will directly impact that. And then lastly, improving better relationships with government. We just want to use our resources to fuse the two, to make all three components of this project work hand in hand. If you all have any questions, please don't forget that there's a question and answer box also. Thanks, Richard.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandy. Yeah, please drop questions in the question and answer box or in the chat. We are here to answer those. And so we would like to hear from you. And as a sign that we are always improving, I do want to call out the fact that I put on this slideshow, better relationships with government twice. So that's fun. All right, so
that is just a testament to how important that is and how it is at the forefront of our mission here. So
absolutely, yeah. I'm you know what? For the next workshop, I'm going to put it on there a third time. So I want to recognize that this is not being done in a vacuum. There are countless cities, towns, and communities all across the country and all across the world that have employed projects like this to achieve some of the same aims. And so we're really grateful to be able to build on the work that they've already gleaned. And so I'm going to turn it over to Ashley to talk a little bit about some other programs and other communities that she's been a part of and that she's seen to discuss some potential outcomes and help get some ideas going in your head. So Ashley.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so just going to share a few examples of how this has transformed a few other city departments and initiatives across the country. And I want to give credit to Mallory Nazim. There's an artist in residence research website that will be included in the link here. I can put it in the chat, that has just a wealth of information and knowledge of different artist in residence programs. So I want to make sure to credit her in this work. So one example of a project that happened in the city of St. Paul by an artist named Amanda Lovely, who was a St. Paul City artist in residence for a number of years, was a pop-up meeting project in partnership with the Parks and Recreation Department. There were many town halls happening that were happening in evening hours, and folks couldn't attend because of childcare or because of their work schedules. And so the people who were actually using the parks weren't able to come and give their input on how the parks could be designed, a common occurrence that happens in civic engagement. And so Amanda noticed that there were these trucks that the Parks and Rex department had that were not being used. So she asked if she could transform one of them into a pop-up meeting venue. So she would then travel around to parks during the day when families were using the parks, and whatever initiatives or design opportunities that there were currently available, she would share with the people actually using the park. And in exchange for their contribution, they would receive a popsicle, a homemade popsicle from St. Paul vendor, and as a reciprocal exchange for their thoughts and ideas. And so they were able to completely transform the demographics of folks that were giving their input on how the parks were being designed. Go to the next one. My Park, My Pool, My City. This is another project by Forklift Dance Works, who did the trash dance project that we saw at the beginning. And this is in partnership with the Parks and Recreation Department at the City of Austin. And the swimming pools that are all over in Austin are really this kind of cultural hub. And they were also in need of some more stewardship and maintenance work, not only by the staff, the city staff, but also by the people who use the pools. And so this was a multi-year project by Forklift Dance Works that helped kind of highlight and amplify the maintenance staff and the workers, the municipal pool workers, and then helping the pool workers understand how and why this is a cultural center for folks to kind of think about how to better steward this cultural space and this community gathering space. So it resulted in a number of performances combining the people who use the pool with the people who work at the pool in celebrating these community spaces. Go to the next one. Hearing Tenants' Voices is another project that came out of Minneapolis. So this is in Minnesota as well, for the city artist creative city making project. And this was in the regulatory services department. So working with building inspectors, landlords, and tenants on how to better improve the process of inspections and how tenants and landlord relationship can be improved, and what the permitting process is like, what the regulatory process is like. And it resulted in a number of theater performances that, again, brought together those three different, often sectors that don't communicate with each other and have a lot of issues with communication, and resulted in transforming policy and transforming regulations that made it better and easier for tenants and tenant rights throughout the city of Minneapolis. Go ahead to the next one. Citizen artistry. This is in a smaller community of about 13,000. An artist named Mary Welcome, who her charge was really to increase civic participation in city council meetings. So she created these city council punch cards that she handed out to residents of the town of Fergus Falls that had the dates of every single city council meeting on them. And if you were to attend a city council meeting, you would get a punch from the mayor. And if you filled up your punch card, then one of the city council members would take you on a lunch date, and you'd get to know your city council member better. And the next one. And then these three projects we have with Marcus Young, Lisa Elliott, and Brad Kaspani. And these three artists are in the city of St. Paul looking at infrastructure and working on the art of traffic calming, pedestrian safety, and rainwater management. So we have Sidewalk Poetry Project that was in partnership with Public Works Department, turning the city of St. Paul into a book of poems, elevating resident voices. We have the Art of Traffic Calming, which transforms the posts of stop signs and wayfinding signs into beautiful artworks to help encourage people to really slow down and take a look at their surroundings. And then a number of artist designed rainwater treatment sculptures placed throughout the city of St. Paul. So those are three different city artists and residents throughout St. Paul and infrastructure projects with Public Works. Next. And this last one is in Blacksburg, Virginia. And I wanted to mention this one because it was a regional planning commission project, and it kind of covered this multi-county area. And this project used board games and theater projects and storytelling, so really performance art based, to get at the heart of what people wanted to see for not only safety, livability, health and wellness of their communities. But the artists that worked on this were really focusing on on how art could be used as what they called a container for complexity, and pulling out some of the major challenges that that this region, that these different counties had, to look at it from a different lens. So they really built these projects with the residents that live there, and continue to, it's again another multi-year project to pull out the challenges and then work together to address them by using arts and cultural strategies throughout their planning process. And just to highlight some of the things that Heather already mentioned, but with the kind of common impacts that Mallory Nazim pulls out, one of the researchers across that looks at artist residencies across the country, really looking at how we can increase that connection to the community, but also how we can make these processes more efficient, equitable, and engaging. So for city staff, for residents, and for artists alike. And then again, to inspire these new ideas, insight, and innovation in the process. So just some ideas to get thinking about how this work might start to manifest in these different departments in the city. And I will pass it back to you, Richard.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. There's so many really interesting and inspiring examples in there. And I think it's just really great to get those creative juices flowing. So I'm going to turn it over to Lakshmi to talk through eligibility and through our application process. It's really exciting. Oh, there's a question in the chat. Will the PowerPoint be available after this meeting for review? Yes. And there's all of this information is on our website at civiclex.org/civic-artist. So Lakshmi, would you like to talk about the application?
Yes. So if you're an artist and seeing all these things, I'm sure it's very exciting to see all the options available, what you can do with a project like this, in a project like this. And so to just give you a little information about how you can go about applying if this is something that calls to you. You need to be 18 years or older of age, and you should be living or working or practicing primarily in the Fayette County area. There will be a background check, and a record of felony is not an automatic disqualifier. And we are seeking artists with direct lived experience in marginalized communities. They will be given preference. And we live in a very amazing time of a lot of possibilities of making spaces more inclusive, more vibrant. And we want to use this space also to add to that energy. So keep thinking, and I will tell you more about how to, we'll go to the next one. And the application itself is due on March 26th at 5 p.m. And we're going to be accepting it through email. We are not going to be taking any hard copies, but if you have any difficulties or questions about how to do this, please feel free to reach out to us, and we want to make it as easy on you as possible to be able to apply to this process. So, and we also have some very specific ways of naming your work samples and the descriptions that we're asking of you. And I'll talk a little bit more about this. So there are 4 parts to our process. We have some questions for you. We want to know more about you. And this is the part where you talk about your art, your relationship to how you use art as a way to communicate, not just on a personal level, but on a community level. We would like to see a resume from you, work samples that speak of not only your approach to your art as a studio practice or as a social practice, but also how you perceive and conceive of ideas to work with. So these are the things we're looking for, and we will tell you a little bit more about it. Okay, so we have 6 questions for you, and that's probably where I'll be spending more time talking to you. And you can either put them all in a PDF file and send it that way, where each question is answered with 500 characters or less. Or if typing is difficult for you and you're somebody who loves to speak about what you do, We would love to hear your thoughts recorded on a video, and 5 minutes or less for all the 6 questions. So again, we want to make this as accessible as possible. So we want to know about your art and why you make it. This is your place to talk about what art means to you. Now, art is not just studio practice. It's not just what is usually called art. You come up with your definition of what your art is and tell us about that. That's what we want to hear from you. And tell us a story about how your art has meaningfully engaged your community. This is where we're looking to see what is the way in which you are able to translate an idea of an art into something that reaches a larger community. Could this be a small one, a large one? Doesn't matter. Tell us what you've done and tell us your thinking about it and tell us about how you approached it, what you got out of it, what the community got out of it, what you learned from it. Why are you interested in this residency? I think we want to know what is it, what's the energy that you're bringing into this project? What is making you think, oh, I want to apply to this? And what would you change about Lexington? I personally, as an artist, think that this is an amazing opportunity for us to create a pilot program where we can create a process and a way to work together to bring about a larger change in the way we work together, the perspectives we hold, and how art can be engaged in making changes in city government. So we would like to hear from you what you would like to change about Lexington. And which department mentioned in the application do you want to work with and why? Think about it. Like, we're not asking for you to have very specific ideas about how you want to go about a project. It is not like, this is what I want to do. This is like, this is what I'm interested in, because the project itself will be created as you collaborate, as you work, as you meet, as you spend time in the field. So is there anything else you want us to know? If there is something that you think will support your application and we've not asked that in any specific questions, please tell us about it. We want to know about it. We want to know more about you that you think is relevant to this process for us to make a decision based on your application. Again, the resume has to be a PDF, and make sure there is a contact information. Not more than 2 pages, and we require 3 references from people who are familiar with your work, who know your approach to art, and who can speak to what you are applying for. And the work samples are going to be an important way in which we understand how you approach art in this space. So we're asking for 3 to 5 work samples. So look at what it is that is most representative of your work. So we accept them as JPEGs or PDFs, videos, and audio, and there are the formats available. Again, these are all this information, these specific information is available in the website as well. And this is also very important, the work sample description. We want to know, why is it that you chose the sample that you chose? We want to know, of course, the description, what it is, where it was created, when it was created, the medium used, or the audience that it worked with, all those things, but also about why you chose this. How does this relate to this particular application process? And remember that we are going to be receiving a lot of work samples, so please make sure that you label each work sample specifically, and there is a specific format that we have for labeling the work samples. So please make sure that you get it done that way, so we don't miss any of your work samples. And back to Richard. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Lakshmi. That was great. So we definitely have some questions rolling in, and we're going to get to those in a second. But I do want to just sort of give one last little bit of information about the selection process. So we have, as we said, we have a 28-person advisory group, and we're hoping to get a lot of applications. I know that we've already had a lot of interest. We've actually already received an application. Our hope is that we'll sort of combine all of these applications. Our smaller group of our advisory group will review an initial round, and then we'll sort of develop a short list. Then those shortlisted candidates will be interviewed by our selection teams. And we're gonna have one selection team sort of per city department that we're working with, because we wanna make sure that we have a lot of buy-in from folks inside that department as to who is working with them. That's really important to us. And we think it'll be really important for once the artists come on board. Our hope is that the interviews will be concluded by the end of April. Again, applications are due on March 26th. So we're hoping to really take that month between March 26th and the end of April to have all of the interviews, the narrowing down and the interviews done. We hope to make the selections in early May, and then we want artists to start in early June. We don't have a firm like June 1st start date or anything like that, but we are sort of trying to get we will be trying to get everyone to start right around the same time. Because again, it's really important for us to have this cohort-based approach of having 3 artists. So we have, I know that we have some questions coming in, so I'm gonna turn it over to my colleague, Megan. And I'm gonna turn off the screen share so that you can see all of us. And Megan, if there are any questions that you wanna throw to one of us, just let us know.
Yeah, sure. The first one I'm seeing, well, there are a couple, and Richard, you answered a few. And do you want me to address the ones that were already answered in the chat?
Sure, you can bring them up if you want.
Okay, someone asked, if there was asking Heather, there's a question about if the recycling center would be a possible location. And she said yes. So, there's music. Do you have music on your side? Oh, weird. I have music on my side. But yes, the recycling center would be a place. So I think that's a great question of thinking creatively about where you could go. Man,
Megan, I think that music might be coming from your computer.
I don't know. I don't have like a player open or anything.
Uh-oh.
Weird. I don't even listen.
At least you've got good taste.
Yeah, at least it's great
I haven't listened to Frank Sinatra in forever.
Can I elaborate a little bit?
Oh, it's the city site. I'm so sorry, you all.
We always have the city's Lex TV open on our computers at Civic Lex. And every now and then it starts playing the Eagles or Frank Sinatra, some really good, very inoffensive music, depending on who you are.
It was just buried in my search panels and things. Sorry about that. Yeah, so absolutely. I think about different locations that you could possibly do a project within, within the city. That's not just, think beyond sort of murals and just sort of stationary sculptures and things like that, and get creative. And as Heather said, yes, you can absolutely. That could possibly be
Could I maybe elaborate on that, Megan?
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just to give people a little bit, because these 3 departments are vast, there are many opportunities. For instance, within environmental quality and public works, that encompasses waste management, recycling, water treatment, streets and roads, traffic engineering, recycling, and more. So it's a very, very large department with many, that goes in many directions. Social services includes aging and disability services, the senior center, family services, such as the Family Care Center, youth services, such as the Audrey Grievous Center, juvenile probation and court, substance abuse and use. And then finance is budgeting, purchasing, revenue, accounting, and huge communication challenges with making that very technical information user-friendly. So thanks.
Thanks, Heather. So the next question we had was about funding for this. Dawn had asked, I'm thinking of my own medium, photography, $1,500 for material expenses would be very limiting. Any chance for adjustments there? And Richard answered. But at this moment, we can't commit to additional funds past the $1,500, but we are in a continuing fundraising process for this, and we'd love to provide additional resources if we can. So we're at this $1,500 limit now, but that could possibly increase in the future depending on how that fundraising goes. So that was that one. We had one, Deborah asked a good question, and I was looking back at the application, and I don't know if we have an answer for this because I don't know if we considered it. Is there a limit to what you want for the work sample, length of video and audio? So there is a character limit for written, or I guess, well, we didn't have written work samples, but no, I don't think we have a time limit for, if you're posting audio or visual works.
I think we don't have a time limit for audio or video. Just know that we're going to have a lot of applications to review. So, if you are submitting, for instance, I'm a musician, my background is a musician. And so if I were going to be submitting a piece of music or a performance, I would probably submit part of that. Or I would understand that probably the first 5 minutes or so, or 10 minutes or so at the most, would be what panelists would probably watch. You're welcome to submit something that's longer, and there's a good chance that panelists might want to watch the whole thing. But just understand that we will hopefully have a lot of applications to review, and so we might not be able to watch all of it. But we also do think it's important for artists, if they want to submit all of a piece, if they would like to be considered. Yes, the application, sorry, Megan, I'll just say, yes, we'll put the application link in the chat right now.
Awesome. Deborah also asked, will we be able to receive assistance from us if the application is missing information? I say absolutely, just make sure to turn that application in before the deadline. Because once it's past the deadline, I think we're gonna, if there's minor things, we might be able to work with it, but if we're missing a lot of information, we probably would just, unfortunately pass on it. But yeah, if there's anything missing before that deadline, we're happy to take a look at it to let you know if there's something missing or something that needs to be changed or adjusted. And if you have any questions in the meantime, like while you're working on putting that application together, and you have any, you're not sure about something, or these kinds of questions, please ask us, email us. Either info@CivicLex, Richard@CivicLex, Megan@CivicLex, and we'll be happy to talk with you about, just going through this application process, because it can be kind of complicated. There's a lot going on with it, and we want people to apply for this, and we want this application process to be as easy as possible.
And for folks watching on video, while Megan's looking up at the next question, if you are looking for the application, you can just go to civiclex.org/civic-artist, and the application and an FAQ and all the information that you would need to apply is on there. And if not, shoot us an email at the email addresses that Megan said. It's just our names at civiclex.org.
And then Param Baker asked, is one artist, it's basically like, is one artist going to be working in like one department each? Yes, you won't all three be in one department or like moving around. You'll get to select, or at least let us know, once we're farther in the selection process, we'll be asking those applicants, where their interests might lie in regards to which 3 departments, but it will be one artist placed in each, one department. Let's see, Kurt, you answered Deborah's question. Yeah. Questions, okay, gotcha. Sorry, I'm just reading through these.
So here's another question from Param Baker. If your application is declined, will there be a commentary return to the artist so next year they can provide a better submission? That's a really great question. We haven't established whether or not we're going to resend written feedback back to artists. That's definitely something I think we may. It just depends on the capacity. This is a while we have a fairly large group, there's not a whole lot of people that are being adequately compensated for their time. So we want to make sure that we're really honoring that, and not, if we have 1,000 applications, it might be more difficult for us to provide written feedback to everyone. But I do think that if you are interested in receiving written feedback, I'm sure that you'll be able to just send us an email if you're not selected, and we can provide you feedback that way. We just might not be able to send it out to everyone preemptively. And then to the next year, we're not sure if we're going to do this next year. This is an expensive program for us. We're a small organization, and this is a pilot. Now, if there's anyone on this call that wants to write me a check for, $15 million, it's tax deductible. We could fund this project for a number of years. So, just let me know. You can, I'll send you my Venmo. No, I won't send you my Venmo. That would be illegal. All right, Megan, are there other questions in there?
I see, Kurt, you had asked once the panelists. Do you want me to just bring that up for everyone in case anyone's interested on the attendee side?
Yeah, that was an open question that the attendees haven't seen. The one, yeah,
okay,
about.
Yeah. So this is posted just sort of internally, but I think it's useful for everyone, asking, are there resources that might give insight into this current goings on in city, functions of each city department in order to better matchmake yourself in the department we're being asked to choose. So Heather had answered, you can look up the city departments, and the link, we'll post the link again. It's lexingtonky.gov/browse/government/departments. And again, we'll post that to everyone because it's a lot. You're welcome, Deborah. And then I think we are up to date on questions.
I will also say, I see there's one more question in the chat, and I will also say,
yeah.
I have to do this. If you're interested in staying up to date on what's happening in City Hall, yes, there's a really great organization called Civic Lex that Megan and I work for. We have a really great newsletter that goes out every week to help you stay up to date on what's happening in city committee meetings and work sessions. We also talk to you about really big issues and that are impacting our city and how to get involved in those. So you can go to civiclex.org and find a ton of information about a lot of different issues that are impacting our city. And we call out in there which divisions and departments are part of those processes. So if you want a good idea of where to get started, that's a great place. And then Hannah Allen has a question in the chat.
That last one. So Hannah, regarding references, can you discuss a little more on what those references should speak on? Will you need letters from them in your application or just their contact information? I think like they don't have to be, like bosses or something like that. They could be, or they, if you're working with an artist or something like that. They could be professors, they could be other artists who are familiar with your work and your processes. I think, we talked about that. I think that would be fine.
Community members would be a great person.
Yeah, like anyone who's familiar with your work and how you interact with the community and others in your practice. And I think we will just need their contact information, correct? I don't think we're asking for letters of recommendation. And then Rachel, you wanted to know is there a way to have a copy of the video? Yes, this whole thing will be shared, so you can go back and watch everything if you want. And to Rachel, that video is just up on Vimeo, so I'm actually gonna go dig it up and drop it in the chat while we're working on it. While we're answering questions. Got a new question. Okay. It says, considering that it is a year long and part-time, is it going to be treated like a job, i.e. time off, sick days, travel for other needs? Asking this question as a freelancing artist without consistent full-time employment in one space. I can take that if you want, Megan. You're sort of an independent contractor, and it is your time. We're not keeping you to a schedule or anything like that. We said that 15 hours a week average. So it's whatever way you can fit that into your schedule. We don't really keep track of, we won't be keeping track of time off or sick days or things like that. Yeah, and we don't provide insurance. You're not a city employee. So it's very much like your own time, as long as you will be I don't want to say responsible, but part of it is being familiar with city meetings and sort of like the goings on in City Hall. And those do happen in that 9 to 5 hour time frame. So keep that in mind. But again, it's very much like an independently led, program. There's one more question. Are the 3 artists going to be interacting, or are the interactions only with the mentors and city folks in their departments? Our hope is that interacting. Yeah, we encourage the artists to interact as much as possible with city staff, with each other, with the AB, like the advisory board for this project, as many connections as possible in this project. And I will also say something that artists will get out of it that that we didn't put into the slideshow is that you'll also
well, this part we did put in the slideshow, that you will have, barring, with COVID in mind, if we are at a place that it's safe, you all have workspace up with us on the 4th floor of the Downtown Arts Center. And so you'll have pretty much 24/7 access to CivicLex. And we have a wide variety of connections inside city government, and we can help plug you in and connect you with the right spots too. Or if you're anything that we can do to help provide, space to make you feel comfortable and at home. So ideally, all 3 artists will be up there with us as well. So there will hopefully be a lot of natural interaction happening in that space.
Does anyone have any more questions?
I have a question, and that is a question that I'm going to paste into the into panelists and attendees. Okay, so we're also sending out, we want to know a little bit more about you all. So we're, I just put into the chat a little bit of a survey that should have some information, since we can't see any of you all, what your names are, what kind of art you make. We're really interested in learning a little bit more about you all and why you're interested in applying for this program. And if you have barriers to applying to this program, what those are, so that we can learn from that and try and make this program better and better, hopefully in the future. So so please reach out to us with any information that you need. It is an open door. Awesome. Well, thanks to everyone. It looks like we don't have any other questions in the chat. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I want to say thank you. First of all, that doesn't make any sense. I want to thank you, first of all. Okay, I'm tired. It's been a long day, clearly. So I would like to thank everyone for attending this. Please share about it on social media. Please, let your friends know about it. Please, again, I can't stress this enough. Reach out if you need anything. If you have any questions about the application, you can email Richard at civiclex.org, Megan at civiclex.org, info at civiclex.org, just anyone's name at civiclex.org, and you'll get to someone. And I also want to thank all of our advisory board members for being here and co-facilitating this. We're really grateful for your all's participation and help in making this project truly transformative. We would not be able to do it without you. And as Heather said in the chat, there are going to be more workshops coming up in February and March. They'll basically just be a repeat of this. So if you have any feedback on this workshop, send it to us and maybe we can make the next one even better. We're still finalizing the dates for those, but we do plan on having at least 2 more workshops before the application due date. So if you want to ask more questions of us over Zoom, everyone wants more Zoom these days, that's for sure. Just join one of those future workshops and we'll go from there. So thank you all so much. We appreciate it, and have a good night. Thank you.